Do the tough things first.
Ray Zinn now imparts his management philosophy in Tough Things First. Zinn covers the gamut from the essence of human happiness
Having value is key to human happiness.
to the downside of venture capital for entrepreneurs,
Venture capital can be the antithesis of entrepreneurial spirit.
the essence of entrepreneurial discipline.
An entrepreneur without determination is truly an oxymoron.
Ray Zinn, Silicon Valley's longest-serving CEO.
Life and work are marathons, not sprints, regardless of what too many startups here in Silicon Valley believe. But few employees are marathon runners. One of your jobs as a leader is to keep the momentum going throughout your organization so that employees don't fade out or leave the company. Ray Zinn, the longest-serving CEO in Silicon Valley with 37 years heading the most consistently profitable semiconductor company, knows a few things about keeping employees engaged, happy, and productive over the long haul. If you want all the details on this topic, get Ray Zinn's book, Tough Things First, at Amazon.com or your local bookstore. So, Ray, I bet there is one or maybe two things that are key predictors of when employees might start losing their momentum. Am I right about this?
Absolutely. There's no question about that, Guy.
So the two that come to mind from reading your book, it seemed to me to be stress and imbalances in the system. Why do these cause employees to lose their momentum?
Well, stress is probably the biggest problem that employees face in their job. It might come from outside, their home life or other external reasons, or it could be the job itself. It's up to the supervisor to determine where the stress is coming from, and then try to resolve that issue. If it's coming from the outside, it might be more difficult, but finding out where the stress is coming from will help the supervisor minimize the problems that's going to bring to the employee's performance.
Well, and those relate definitely to imbalances inside and outside, but what about imbalances inside the organization? How does that really sap an employee's, momentum and strength?
Well, if an employee feels that he's not being treated fairly, then the stress level is going to increase to the point where he's going to become less effective. He won't come to work on time. He maybe goes home early. He finds other ways. Maybe he spends more time on the internet doing other things other than productive work.
So how does a CEO monitor these stress and imbalances? What tools do they have for taking a stress pulse reading throughout the organization?
This comes from really just looking at how each individual group is doing, whether it be a group in quality, whether it be a group in purchasing. By having the leaders of those particular groups sensitive to the performance of that group will help the CEO to understand where the problems are coming from and what has to be corrected.
So I find this interesting. You said watching the performance of the individual groups, but what if only one group is underperforming? Is that a leading indicator of imbalances that are going to affect the entire organization?
Yes, that indicates that there's a problem with the supervisor who manages that group has issues. And we see this from time to time, and that has to be addressed immediately. And if you find a supervisor you have high turnover in that particular group, that indicates an imbalance. There's a reasonable amount of turnover that you can expect, but when that turnover gets high, that tells you have a real problem in that particular organization.
Mm-hmm. You speak about stress. So I know I used to get stressed out when I sensed a lack of cooperation from other employees, and it was always seemed to be coming from other groups or other teams. Are organizational silos a natural point for inducing stress?
Absolutely. That's a normal thing. The departments tend to sit together in a group function. You'll find that one group will sit together here, another group will sit together over there. And that's an indication, by the way, that you do have these silos forming. So oftentimes we would call meetings, and for the whole purpose of just saying how the organization is set together. If we see separation in groups, then that tells me that there's an issue.
So if you're seeing momentum declining, it is your job to bring the team back up to cruising speed, even if you are leading from below. Don't let momentum fade, because I guarantee you your competitors wait for such opportunities. And speaking of opportunities, take this opportunity to connect directly with Ray Zinn on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Drop by toughthingsfirst.com/contact to find all of Ray's touch points in social media. And also subscribe to the Tough Things First podcast using iTunes, Google Play Music, Podcast Addict, and other popular podcast applications.